Hello and welcome back. The focus of today's notes is to learn how to write a check correctly and how to read a check. So we've obviously been on Unit 4. This is on checking accounts. And a checking account is, you might be, what's the difference between a checking account and a bank account? Well, a checking account is a form of bank account. A checking account is a monetary account that allows the holder to write checks against money that has been deposited. So if you've got money in a checking account, you can do this thing called writing a check. Well, what's a check? The reason we came up with checks in the first place is because sometimes you have to pay someone a lot of money. Like if you're paying a bill, or if you're paying like if you're giving someone a lot of money, it's not convenient to carry around that much cash. It could get lost. So a check is just a very special piece of paper that banks have decided has some value to them. They've designed these checks so that they are officially issued by the bank, and they tell other banks what to do in terms of a person's account. So for example, if you deposit a check, the bank looks at that check and they see basically what they read it as is, oh, you have this note from someone else. That someone else is telling the bank, hey, you can take this much money out of my account and put it in this other person's account. So all a check is, it's a piece of paper that directs a bank to deduct money from a checking account to make a payment. Okay? It's a lot more efficient to have a check than to have to bring the person over to the bank who you want to get the money from and say, okay, you take your money out and then you just hand it to me. Instead, the person can fill out a check and they can give it to you, and then you go and cash it at the bank, and the bank understands that, okay, this is a legitimate transaction. This is not like, it's not going to be fake or anything. So, reading a check. There's multiple things on this check that you need to be aware of. You'll see that this check has certain letters next to it, and I know it's really tough to read, but do your best. We've got A through, I believe, K here, and I'm going to go over what all these different things are. So line A shows the account holder's name. This is the person who has the checking account. In this case, the account holder is Tracy Smith. So that's whose account the money is coming out of. Line B is used for the payee's name, who's getting paid by this check. Let's say, for instance, you're writing a check to the electric company. Around here, that's National Grid. So what you would do is you would write in line B, National Grid. If it was a person, so say, for instance, Steve is getting this check, Steve Smith, I don't know, then it would say pay to the order of, and you write Steve Smith on line B. Line C is the name of the bank itself. So in this case, the bank here is the Bank of Imagination. It's a fake bank. It's not a real bank. And this bank is located in Fullerton, California, so it usually has the name and location. Okay, that will be on the check. Line D is called the memo line. Memo is your reminder, or I suppose Tracy Smith's reminder of what this check was for. Why did you write this check to this person? Okay, so on this line, a person can write a note, or they can write an account number if they're paying, like, let's say, a bill to National Grid, of a bill to be paid. But the note could also be for, like, well, what is this for? So a lot of times if you get a check for your birthday, it'll say for birthday. Or if you get a check, like a rent check, it'll say rent, if you want to fill it out that way. Line E up here is the international bank number. This number gets written on deposit slips, so it's important to know. Line F is for the date. Very important to write the date when writing a check, so that way if someone is trying to counterfeit checks and write bad checks, you can go through your checkbook and you can say, okay, well, I did not write this check on this day, so therefore this check might be suspicious. Line G is what people mess up sometimes. Line G is for writing the dollar amount in words. So I'm going to actually skip over we're going to go to line K for a second, all the way down here at the bottom. Line K is for writing the dollar amount in numbers. So for example, let's say this check is for $59.64. That's for line K. In line G, right under pay to the order of, we're going to write $59.64, but we will do it in a very specific way. You're going to write it all out in words. So you would write it like this. 50 hyphen $9. And instead of just writing 64 cents, you write it like this: 64 over 100 cents. That's how you write this out. And that's just an added security feature so that we make double sure that you've got the right numbers for G and K and that they match up. So you've got to get good at writing these amounts of money out in words. $50-9 and, meaning, okay, that's the number of dollars. Here come the number of cents, 64 over 100 cents. In other words, 64 out of 100, 64 cents. Line H is for the signature of the account holder, okay, the signature of Tracy Smith in this case. The only way that this check is valid is if Tracy Smith signs it to say, okay, everything here is good. Line I is for the bank account number. In this case, the bank account is 123-456-7. Line J is for the check number. We discussed this in the last video. Check numbers often pop up if you're making a deposit. They want to know what check number is being deposited. In this case, it's 0301, 0301. And again, line K, we already wrote that down, $59.64. That will obviously change depending on which check you're writing and how much it's for. So we have a couple of things to practice here. The first thing we're going to practice is writing amounts of money in words, as you would on a check. So $7.64, I mean, think about it. You wouldn't just say, like if you're trying to tell someone that, you could say it's, you know, hey, it's $7.64. Or if you're being a little bit more accurate, you'd say $7.64. That's exactly what you're going to write out. If you see this, you write out $7. And the and is very important. You can't skip that. 64 over 100 cents. Likewise, this number would be 84, 80-$4 and 48 over 100 cents. Okay? It's usually pretty easy if the check amounts are low. It's a little trickier if they're higher, like $130. A lot of people would be tempted to write $130. That's wrong. Anything after the and is supposed to tell you how many cents there are. So what I would write for this one is just 100, don't write and yet, $130. And you'll notice that there's no amount of cents. That's not a big deal. You still write and 00 over 100 cents. The reason that you do that is because if you just left it at $130, someone else could come along and write and, let's say, 99 out of 100 cents. And then somehow you're getting less or more money taken out of your account than you should be. You don't want that. Oh, also, once you're done writing this part, you should scribble out the rest of the line so that no one can come along and write anything in after you're done writing. Another tricky one here. This would be $10,210 and 00 over 100 cents. 10,210. Not 10,210. The and only goes when you're about to introduce the number of cents. Okay? And then the last one, $324 and 75 over 100 cents. And that's just the way it works. Let's practice actually writing two different checks. Jean Thornton is buying a gift for her daughter Kendra at Hollister on March 23rd. So let's put March 23rd in for the date. So we've got March, that's 3. 20, you can write March if you want to, 23rd, 2021. Oh, there's where the date goes, 2021. And let's see. The cost of the gift is $45.78. Jean is paying by check. How should she fill out the check? Pay to the order of. Remember, this is who the check is going to. It's going to Hollister, the store. So you write Hollister. Over here, we're going to write the actual dollar amount in numbers. $45.78. And here we're going to write that same thing as words. We would write $45.78 over 100 cents. The memo is for, let's see, that's what we're going to put for the reason you're writing the check. In this case, it's a gift for Kendra, so I'm just going to write Kendra's gift. One of the nice things about living in this day and age is on your checking account online, if you have an online one, you can actually look at the pictures of the check once they go through the check clearinghouse, and you can actually remind yourself, it'll show up a literal picture of the check, and you can remind yourself what that check was for, because the memo will be filled out. And then down here, she signs it. So she signs Jean Thornton. Okay, that's a full check. That's all filled out. Date, who you're paying, amount of money in numbers, amount of money in words, memo, signature. Last one. Michael Walton recently opened a checking account on April 16th. He wrote his first check, number 140, for a baseball hat at Dick's Sporting Goods. The hat cost $21.68. How should he fill out the check? It was on April 16th, so that's 4/16/21. Baseball hat, that's what he's buying, so I'll put that in memo. He bought it at Dick's Sporting Goods. The hat cost $21.68. And he's got to sign it. That's pretty much everything you need to know about writing a check. There's about 7 things that are important that you need to fill out on the check. As long as you fill those out and put them in the right spots, you should be all set. And it's usually pretty self-explanatory. Date up here, this is obviously an amount of money. This is who we're paying, amount of money in words, what's it for, and signature. In the next video, we will be talking about how to make sure that you keep a valid check register. See you later.